Hello and welcome. This is episode 2 of the Farm Advisory AI creation series. The last time we met, we set up the project by running an init and we made the Claude MD5. And we saw that there was a response from the AI in Hindi, even though we asked for English. And in fact, the end result is going to be that the response should be in either Gujarati or whatever language that the user is asking, but certainly it was in Hindi. So we're going to find out what happened. But before that, let's have a look at how the information is flowing in the main script that we have. And that's our webhook.py right here. So let's switch over there. And with webhook.py, we have a bunch of functions that are worth talking about. And in these functions, we first have this big class. Now, this is the handler class, which inherits from base HTTP request handler. And handler is what Universal needs. So the two functions it has is the do get and the do post. Now, what do they do? The do get is just one time, right? It's like a handshake. It says, okay, you are controlling this secure URL with the WhatsApp API. Let's have a handshake. We return a 200 response, and that is done. That is a one-time thing. So it kind of looks like this, where you send this response and you're pretty much verified. And the do post is really where all the work happens. First of all, we just send them 200 response because if we don't, Meta will keep posting messages repeatedly because it thinks we haven't received it. But that's because we are busy sending stuff to Claude. What are we sending? We are sending the prompt. And the prompt is really where some of the problem starts. We have a very good prompt. It talks about being an agronomist, it talks about the region, it talks about the crop, and it says you are very experienced in agronomy and stick to not esoteric stuff, but stuff that a farmer needs for practical daily usage. Now, what it doesn't have is it does not have a way to tell it that, hey, you got to stick to the language that you have been asked for. So here is my Claude agent, and I'm going to recount this. And there are two ways of fixing this, right? One is that we fix the prompt, but that is still like a soft request, right? You are just politely asking Claude, hey, do not respond in a language that is not used by the user, as in mirror the language. But really, what we need is a guardrail, a hard, non probabilistic, or more deterministic output. So let's ask Claude about what to do. We kind of have a hint of what to do, but first we're going to change out the prompt. And in the rules, we're going to say respond with the language received by the user. And see here, I think the VS Code autocorrect is kind of helping me out. If they ask in Gujarati, reply in Gujarati. So we've done that, but we're going to tell or we received a response in Hindi, even though we asked in English. I'd like to set up a function that checks the script and mirrors it before we use the send message function. So what that does is that even though we asked Claude nicely and it does do the response, this is still probabilistic. And this happened because they saw the WhatsApp user had a +91 number. It would have been okay to send the response in the language that majority of the country might speak. So here in the screenshot, he got this. And then even when I did this the second time today, I received a response in Gujarati, even though I asked in English. So it's basically not mirroring correctly because we have not instructed it in a hard as well as a soft way to do it. Okay, so it came up with a good solution, which is a Python function, which is more deterministic, where it takes in the string and identifies it by the Unicode. And Gujarati differs slightly from Hindi with that line on the top, and the Latin script in case it's English, and then returns like a score, which is more elaborate than I thought it would be. And we were speaking about post, where we get the text message contents from that WhatsApp user by running the extract text message. When we go back up, the extract text message is a helper function. This extracts the phone number and the body, right? So that's the one that is referenced in the do post. And then when we get that, we are using the detect language function that you just saw to find out what language it is. And there it is. It's added as a variable inside a prompt, which is something you can do. So we've asked it in the prompt in a probabilistic manner, and then we are enforcing it in a deterministic manner. And then this is the actual Claude API call, which is pretty simple, as you can see. And any Claude API call will need a minimum number of things to specify, like the model, the max tokens, and the message. In this case, we also have a system prompt, right? The system prompt is in addition to what the user sends. What the user sends has already been put in as a text here. But what we want is to also say that in this case, Claude, you are an agronomist. And that is what this whole prompt was. And let me just option Z. This is the whole prompt. It's the same as before, except for this particular rule. And then we use a send WhatsApp function that was right on top here to actually send it to the person with the number using our API credentials. So there you have it. That's how we are doing this. And hopefully this works a little better. And let's go ahead and try and test it. And the way we test it is I'm going to use the same function, same message, and I'm going to ask it. Let me make this better. My onions are turning yellow. What should I do? They are the Peugeot Divine White variety, which is just a kind of variety of the onion. And we should see a response in English. It might take a minute for it to, yep, there it is. So it's giving us similar responses before, but at least we know that we are not getting a response in the wrong language. And let me just put in a Gujarati response to see if it's mirroring it correctly. All right, here is the Gujarati version of the same question. I'm going to ask it in Gujarati now because I could be a user who speaks only that language. And now it should respond in the same language. It could still fail if it doesn't detect the Unicode, but there we have it. It worked perfectly fine. It's the same exact kind of answer, but in Gujarati, and I can read it, and I can see that WhatsApp doesn't render some of the characters correctly, which is a problem for another day. But more or less, it is responding the way we need. So there we have it. And in the next episode, we are going to look at maybe using the responses a little better by converting or forcing this to be returned to us in a structured JSON format. This makes it more systematic rather than relying on a lump of text as you see here, because that is fine for an individual basis, but not for like the whole system. So join me next time in episode 3 to see how we chain that into a structured JSON format as the output from Claude. All right, see you guys.